All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of the Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been creating a series of video presentations based off of the Mozilla Developer Network Learn Web Development series. I'm up to the server-side Express Node.js section, and we are introducing Express. As they mentioned, Express is the most popular Node web framework and is the underlying library for a number of other web frameworks. Among other things, it provides mechanisms to write handlers for requests with different HTTP verbs. It integrates with view rendering engines like Pug that we'll see later in order to generate responses by inserting data into templates. It sets common web application settings like the port to use for connecting. You've already seen a little of that without Express. It adds additional request processing middleware at any point within the request handling pipeline. Now it says Express itself is fairly minimalist. In other words, it gives you just what you need, but gives you the ability to add more or create, either add more that exists or create more yourself. All right. Developers have created compatible middleware packages to address almost any web development problem. There are libraries to work with cookies, sessions, user logins, URL parameters, post data, security headers, other things like dates, all right, etc. You can find a list of middleware packages at the Express middleware. So let's take a quick look here, and there's just some of them right there. All right, and they're broken into different sections. Now it says here this flexibility is a double-edged sword. There are middleware packages to address almost any problem or requirement, but working out the right package to use can sometimes be a challenge. And this is the important point, the next sentence here. There is also no right way to structure an application. If you look online, you'll find many different people can do almost the same thing in many different ways. And it's not so much that any of them are wrong, but some may be better for various reasons than others to use. All right, Node was originally released for Linux only in 2009. The NPM package was released a year later, and native window support was added in 2012. And it says at the time of this writing, the LTS release is 12.18.4 and the latest release is 14.13. Well, you've already seen this kind of thing, but if I come in here and I type in fact, I'll leave this run and I'll open up another instance in here. Where was that? There it is. So if I open up another instance and I just come in here and type in node -v, it says the version I'm using is 14.7.0. So that's the latest stable version. Whereas when this was written, the latest stable version was 12.18.4. In fact, I'm using, what did we say? I'm using 14.17.0. So the latest stable version is even later than the latest release version. All right, back when this thing was created a while back. All right. Express was initially released in November 2010, etc. You can read all that other stuff. All right, how popular are Node and Express? Literally, when you look at some of the stuff that's in here, it's got millions of downloads, which says to me it's pretty popular. All right, the popularity is important because, as it says, it's an indicator of whether or not it'll continue to be maintained in the future. Based on the number of high-profile companies that use Express, the number of people contributing to it, and the number of people providing both free and paid support, yes, Express is popular. It's popular, rather. Is it opinionated? It says web frameworks are often referred to as being either opinionated or unopinionated. Opinionated frameworks are those with opinions about the right way to handle a particular task. Well, again, Express is unopinionated, which by it says have far further restrictions on the best way to glue components together to achieve a goal, or even what components should be used to do so. They make it easier to use the most suitable tools to complete a particular task. All right, again, Express is unopinionated. You can insert almost any compatible middleware you like into the request handling chain in almost any order you'd like. Yeah, you may find occasionally you might even seem like you have too many choices. So, what does Express code look like? As mentioned there, in a traditional client or data-driven website, a web application waits for HTTP requests from a web browser or other clients. You've heard this, you've learned this in earlier lessons. When a request is received, the application works out what action is needed based on the URL pattern and possibly associated information in the post or in the GET. Again, you've seen that earlier. Depending on what is required, it may then read or write information from a database or perform other tasks required to satisfy the request. The application will then return a response to the web browser, often dynamically, creating an HTML template page for the browser and putting in the required information. Express provides methods to specify what function is called for a particular HTTP verb and URL pattern, and methods to specify the template or view engine used, where the template files are located, what template to use to render a response. You can use Express middleware for a lot of different things. You can use any database mechanism supported by Node. Express does not define any database-related behavior. We will actually, in the AWD 1111 class, we look at Express both from the perspective of an SQL database using MySQL or MySQL and from a NoSQL database using MongoDB. So the following things or sections explain some of the common things you'll see when working with Express and Node code. First, let's consider the standard Express Hello World example. It says if you have Node and Express already installed, or if you install them, as shown in the next article, you can save this code in a file called app.js and put it in a bash command. I'm just going to put in exactly what they have there. All right, so let's bring in this. Okay, and I'm going to come into the same example that we had earlier. In fact, let's create a new example. Totally fine to do that. So where we've got our hello.js right now, I'm going to make a new file and just call it express.js. So I'm going to come in here, and again, I'm going to say touch express.js. And now when I do my ls, there's my hello and my express. So I will then, in Visual Studio Code, it now shows me my express. This file I no longer need, my hello.js, so I'll save it, and I'll just close it, and I'll bring up the express.js, which is empty. Now what have we done? This is adding Express. All right. Once you add it, the other thing that you're responsible for doing is instantiating basically an existence of it. You can call this anything you want, but typically app is the word that's used. We set up a port for it. All right. And then basically for our GET request, so when we're about to in a minute put in localhost :3000, and we should get back hello world. In addition, we should get example app listing on port 3000. So in order to run this, first let's do a file save. Let's go to this one that we've got running here, and let's stop the run. Click inside of there and control break. Try it again, control break. All righty. I don't think I'm inside of here yet. There I am. So well, let's just close it like this. Not sure what's happening, but that's okay. So we can be in the one that we've been in right here. It's totally fine. And I'm going to type in Node express.js. And I'm getting cannot find module express. Hold on just a second. In fact, we're at 10 minutes already. Let's just stop right here and I'll fix it and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.